Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. We're going to take a quick look at Fantom, see kind of what's going on here, of course, and obviously understand big picture. And we usually look at Bitcoin, but I can kind of summarize quickly. It's right at about 42,500. Just broke a key level resistance at 42,200 on the micro and trying to effectively break 43,000. Do I think that's going to happen? Likely not. I think we're going to get a rejection off that because the 50-day SMA is working its way down the 4-hour and a potential death cross in the 1-day. Not a lot of good stuff coming up into the the actual meeting on Wednesday for the Fed meeting, essentially. That's going to kind of continue to likely drive the price back down. That's my guess, my speculation. Now with Fantom, just before we jump in that, I want you to know, if you're new to the channel, first of all, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me here. I hope you learned a thing or two here today. My goal is to help you, educate you on becoming a better trader. Got a trading community with that specific purpose where everyone comes together, learns together, and grows together, and also a trading academy too that helps people become better traders. That's start to finish, how to become a better trader from beginner, intermediate, all the way up to becoming an advanced user. Now that's rolling out month in, mind you. It's not available yet, but that will be available to all of my members, regardless of your status and when you registered, right? Because I've got some people in there from July, and they've been waiting for this for a long time, so I do appreciate your patience. Now, looking at Fantom here, what we're looking at, of course, is the 1-day chart. We're going to start with the standard stuff and work our way down. And obviously, take a look here. We see the 50-day SMA and the 200 trailing behind. The 50 wasn't even tested recently, so that's excellent news. Another thing I want to bring your attention to as well is this nice little support area right around 230. You can see the last 2 days we've seen the price hasn't closed below that level, and that was also a previous resistance, so it's creating a nice strong support. In fact, I'm willing to guess if we zoom in a little bit for the last couple of weeks here, last 3 weeks rather, we can go ahead and see that there's probably a strong volume accumulation right there. Perfect, look at that. And that is really just kind of reiterating the fact that we shouldn't see a price below that. And if you watched my top 5 video recently, I just rolled out with that yesterday for my top 5 picks for the quarter, you can see that I mentioned that anything under 2 would be potentially disastrous for Fantom, right? Because we'd basically be losing those higher highs and the higher lows in a larger time frame. And with this having a nice bounce right here, it's extremely important and helpful. Now, granted, Bitcoin has done fairly well today on its own. I mean, it's up 2% or something, but nothing phenomenal, but it's showing a little bit of stability, right? And that does help. Because the sell-off here recently, of course, that was upwards about 25% in about 2.5 trading days. So Fantom did feel the pressure here, but the key takeaway here is that this low is higher than list low, and that's extremely important in the big picture, right? So the macro still looks very good for Fantom. Another reason why I'm still bullish on Fantom, because it's done very well over the last few trading days, even though we had a massive correction here, right? Because you got to keep in mind, it's been increasing contrary to how poorly Bitcoin's been doing. Has to see a natural correction. That's an okay thing. That is all right. And ultimately means just that, you should be adding to your position at this price point because it's still a good value. It's ultimately what it means. And you can see here this bearish divergence on the 1-day never even came to full fruition, right? We're almost essentially resetting. We could even get a bounce off that. If it comes down lower, don't worry about it too much because once again, the moving averages are slower on the larger time frames and the MACD isn't extremely accurate on the larger time frames, in my personal opinion. I like to see the 4-hour reflect some kind of turnaround. We should actually see that here. Ultimately, too, the most important thing here is we bounced off 50 on the RSI. That tells us and reaffirms that right here at about $2.30, what is it, 230? Yeah, 230 is a nice, strong support level, okay? So just bear that in mind. 230 is effectively the new bottom, and we shouldn't expect the price to go much lower, pending Bitcoin doesn't do something stupid and come sub 40,500, right? There's always that disclaimer you got to throw out there because even though Fantom's fairly independent of Bitcoin, it'll still sell off if Bitcoin does too initially, right? It'll probably be a large candle wick down, but nothing to worry about. So we can see a candle wick closer to $2. Don't stress about that. It's okay. It'll likely come back and return with a vengeance. So our price target here of 316 is extremely likely still. That is our profit target number 2 or 3, if I'm not mistaken. I forget which one it is. I've had a lot of targets actually hit recently, which is kind of nice, but we're still on target to go ahead and hit that. I think it is profit target number 2 for our community. We have a swing trade open with Fantom. Now, taking a look at the 4-hour, ultimately here we are under the 50, which isn't phenomenal, but we'll bridge that gap when we get there. Kind of just probably reaffirming the fact that we will have somewhat of a resistance at 260, 270, but the 200 is trailing behind. That's right close to $2 even, which basically implies that we have a nice strong support at 2 if we were to lose the price action presently and the price were to continue to digress lower based on Bitcoin losing steam, right? So I would just say be prepared for that. the likelihood of Bitcoin coming down from where it's at right now is high. Will it come all the way down to 37,000? Maybe. I'm 50-50 on that, but I do think that's a likely bottom if it were to come down that far, right? 37, 37.5, right in that range. But that's only if we lose 40,500. Okay, that's our first major support, and we're going to see if that holds. But regardless, that factors in here too, because if we do lose a support, just say 40,500 for Bitcoin, that's probably synonymous with 215 for Fantom, then we could see the price action come down, bounce off of the 200 based on the simple fact that Fantom is done well and we have a nice key level support there. So I like that. That's really good stuff. Ultimately, also good here as well, we've got a MACD convergence likelihood, right? So the likelihood of this converging is fairly high. It's getting close. So we could expect to see the price continue upwards here from here. Again, stability from Bitcoin would be key. If we get Bitcoin to consolidate at 43,000, then yeah, we're going to see this one take off. Fantom's going to get right back on track. So that's ultimately a really good sign. But the other thing we ought to understand is on the 4-hour, we're still under the 50 here as well. And that's reiterating the fact that we do have a key level support as 50 on the RSI, as well as 50 on the SMA on the 4-hour. It's amazing how concurrent the 50-day SMA can be with the 50 on the RSI, but also a key level resistance between 260 and 270. I would say that's a resistance zone for the moment here for Fantom. So this little squiggly line is key level resistance. So that's kind of what we're looking at there. Definitely good stuff. Again, we're not out of the woods per se, but I can tell you that it's much better than most coins are doing, and it's recovered very nice here so far with our higher lows and our higher highs. So this next low should effectively bounce off of 240, and if so, we'll be on the road to try to break this resistance of 260 to 270. All right, so good stuff there. How does the Ichimoku cloud look? We are, okay, we're traveling into the cloud, which is good. Conversion line and baseline are nice, as well as a lagging span. So ultimately, we have some good stuff. We just need to see the price break free of the cloud, and we might have a green light to effectively go higher. Now, I'd like to see some consolidation here too, so I'd love to see the price kind of come over here and kind of do one of these and then be on above the cloud naturally, have the lagging span be nice and free, and of course, conversion line have time to break away from the baseline. So those are all good things that I think we're going to be able to see here soon, but ultimately a little too early to tell. We really got to see what the next 24-hour does with Bitcoin, and that'll essentially help us understand. So I'll take another look at this again soon. Really quickly looking at TD sequential, we do have a potential of 4 more hours of bullish momentum. So if you did take entry with just say a day trade around 227, you do have a few more hours of potential to the upside before it were to consider to retrace, because Fantom's really good about hitting 9s on TD sequential. So you'll see that we hit a 9 there before we came down and bounced. And essentially, we could effectively see another 9 before we come down to bounce off 240. Okay, so all good stuff there. Hopefully, you learned something here today. Of course, if you did, comment below. If you're holding Fantom, let me know how many you have right now and where your average price is, because a lot of us are in the profit zone right now. I mean, it'd be hard not to be, considering the fact that the only top you could have bought was right around $3, right? So we're probably almost back there. I think it's pretty likely we're going to be able to break that. And I think, big picture too, also one last thing here as well. If we continue on the same trajectory, because you got to understand that this time frame, we've it's been about, that's about 3 weeks. So roughly 3 weeks of trading, the price went upwards of right from its lowest to its highest point, 132%. We'll get that same distance of travel once we break this all-time high. We are looking at a pretty good price point right around $5. So to me, Fantom is very likely to hit $5 in the next quarter, just based on that metric alone. It could hit that in 3 weeks, but I think more conservatively, 4 to 8 weeks would probably be realistic. I think we're looking at late February to early March as a strong potential for that, which is the main reason why we have a swing trade open as a community, and I didn't close it, because it's extremely important to hold on to a coin like this that's doing very well. Again, top 5, check that video out in your own time. I rolled out with that last night for the quarter, and Fantom is definitely one of those, along with a few others. So thanks again for your time. We'll look forward to seeing the next video. Have a great rest of your day. If you're not currently a member, please consider subscribing. Looking forward to working with you. Have a good one. Take care.